the entirety of what was spent on the presidential campaign was about $300 million. Today, that wouldn't buy you a Senate seat in New York. And this presidential campaign, there's been about $15 billion of donations. So, and if you're running for office, like if I ran for Senate in New York, I have to raise $300 million. So the only way I'm going to do that is by sitting in a room all day, which is what candidates do now, and dial millionaires and trade for favors. I've seen this systematic shift in wealth upward to the new class that's actually running our country, because the politicians are completely dependent on millionaires and billionaires to fund them. There's 800 families in this country that donate about 70% of that money.
מקשה אחת. יש את הסנאט, יש את הקונגרס, יש את הכוח היהודי שהוא עצום, יותר חזק משהיה אי פעם. יש דעת קהל, יש לנו כוחות כבירים בדעת הקהל שמתנגדים למדיניות הזאת, גדולי הפרשנים. אמריקה לא תכפה עלינו דבר אם לא נרצה. מקשה אחת.
They're going to be in a war soon. And if Mr. Trump listens to Netanyahu, they want to use you to fight America's war. But it's not America's war, it's Israel's war. And when you say, Mr. Trump, America first, ask any Jew, even your son-in-law, America is never first. Israel is always first. And as long as Israel is first, then whatever you think or plan will be in Israel before you leave the room of the White House. Mr. Trump, you have to extricate yourself from being controlled by any one of these.
And that Israel is going to replace the United States as the next ruling state of the world. This was written 12 years ago. Israel has to replace the United States. When Britain was the ruling state, there was one monetary system. When the United States replaced Britain, there was another monetary system. And so when Israel replaces the United States, you must have a new monetary system. I gave you a hint just now. The US dollar is going to collapse. It has already collapsed, actually. It's about 1,800 US dollars now for 1 ounce of gold. Yeah, about 1,800. If Israel attacks Iran, that's it for the US dollar. That's it. When the US dollar collapses, I believe what they will do is to demonetize it, meaning it cannot be used as legal tender. So you have to take your dollars to redeem it for the new money that the United States government will issue. Many countries have done that in the past. The new money, however, when you redeem your US dollars, you'll only get a fraction of the value. And that is really...
Have a look at this image that was seen on the uniform of an Israeli soldier. Look closely. What do you see? You see Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, and a small part of Turkey. And next to it is written, the Promised Land. What does this mean? Have a look at this image.
So for these last 2 months, I've been in my house, in my room, music room, baptizing myself in the pain and the bloodshed of my Palestinian family. That's our family. You may not think that, but it's okay. You have to grow beyond yourself. And you have to know that there are people in this world that are connected to you, far beyond your own black skin. So, as I was baptizing myself in the blood of my family, it was building me up for what I'm about to tell you all today. Netanyahu has a vision of Eretz Israel. Several states over there, including Saudi Arabia, Jordan, they intend to annex that to what is called Greater Israel. Do you know about that? Well, let's listen. Check it out. That man already has over 400 nuclear bombs sitting in the desert in Dimona, Israel, under where my Hebrew Israelite family stayed. That's a lot of weapons. And they now feel that they are the power in the Middle East. And they are. They feel that they can manipulate America because they don't respect Joe Biden and they have not respected any American president in the last 40 years. They have manipulated every president of the United States of America. And by Biden bowing down and put my poor black sister that's over the American representation at the Security Council, I saw her 3 times with a veto in her hand. She's a mother, she's a grandmother, but she is being used to veto everybody's disagreement with Israel so that it never carries. Now, brothers and sisters, if it means nothing in the United Nations because of the American veto, nothing gets done. America is canceling the United Nations. So for you now to think, well, we'll take our case to the United Nations. For what? This has been with the United Nations for 40 years. You don't exist to them. Moving you and me and us is petty stuff to them. Taking you over, robbing you of your just due in every industry where you both are working together. They take you out because you don't mean anything to them.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
Respect!
Chemical weapons, that Gaddafi was a madman, that Assad gassed his people. Now they're telling you that Iran is nuking up. Well, they didn't tell you that Saddam was dumping the dollar, that Gaddafi dreamt of a gold-backed Pan-African dinar, that Assad switched to budgeting in euros, and that Iran?
We've got Hezbollah being funded by Iran, correct?
Correct.
We have Hamas being funded by Iran, correct?
Correct.
We have the Houthis being funded by Iran,
Correct.
correct? We've got all the militias in Iraq.
And
We now have dead Americans because of the money being going back to Iran, correct? All roads go back to Iran.
Well, not quite. All roads lead through Iran. The Silk Road was a bridge between East and West, and Iran was the gateway, as then So now, and one of its pillars, the international north-south transport corridor, over 7,000 kilometers long. Ship, road, rail, the Indian Ocean linking to the Persian Gulf, the Caspian Sea, Russia, and onto Western Europe. Eurasia is embarking on a whole new voyage, and world trade is being remapped.
As soon as this project is implemented, then accordingly, we will have a route and the possibility of deliveries both in transit to Europe and deliveries from Russia to the Persian Gulf. In fact, this is a global change in transport and logistics routes, and this project may become an alternative to the Suez Canal.
40% shorter and 30% cheaper than that man-made waterway through which more than $1 trillion in goods transit annually. And the first stop, the port at Bandar Abbas. Then the train north to Bafq, then on to Tehran, and then anywhere. And you know what you won't spot on the way? A NATO patrol boat, a US aircraft carrier, an RAF spy plane. This route lies beyond Western control, geographical and financial.
The resulting north-south transport corridor will stretch unbroken for more than 4,300 miles, out of reach of Western sanctions.
It charts a course away from those waters dominated by the transatlantic alliance. It allows for settlement in national currencies. It strengthens the Russia-Iran-India triangle. It further integrates the 5 Caspian states. It gives Moscow a greater foothold in both the Persian Gulf and the Indian Ocean. And it marks a new era. For so long, Russia looked west, traded west, bet on the West. And 24,000 sanctions later, you could say that the gamble didn't pay off. Except wasn't it actually a clean sweep? Because the West has waned, and other stars have risen and will stay high precisely.
Iran has the most reliable, safest, and most economical transit or swap route for crude oil, natural gas, and petrochemical products to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the Indian subcontinent in the east, and Turkey and Iraq in the west, and to the international markets of the Persian Gulf countries.
And are they...
Nuclear weapon program has something called the Samson option, which means if Israel, the state of Israel's existence, is threatened at all, they blow up the world. This is public, by the way. They blow nukes to Asia, to Europe, to North America, South America, and Australia. Because if Israel goes down, the Jews believe the world isn't worth living for. This is public information. So what's going to happen is Iran's going to keep poking Israel. Israel wants us to befriend them so they don't have to use that option. They don't want to blow up the world. But what happens whenever we back off of Israel and Iran shoots a missile over there? They can end the world. That's why Israel does not recognize itself as a nuclear power. It doesn't want the world to know it has nukes. It doesn't want the restrictions. It doesn't want the observations. It doesn't want to be criticized. It doesn't want the scientists to come in and look over their nukes. They don't want to register them. Why?